Oh, yeah. Just looking at the absolute refusal to obey orders or to do your duty. Now, the thought of Americans not having the right to defend themselves because law enforcement won't enforce their rights. Yes. I think you do have a duty to defend the United States of America. And it's one of these types of public dangers where the sheriffs don't recognize the actual fraud because they don't want to go to prison. The police don't realize the fraud of issuing court orders where there's forgeries. There's no acknowledgement of the petitioner. Yeah. There's no due process to the respondent, and there's misrepresentation and fraud. Yeah. And then there are those in the military that say, well, we just can't be involved. Now, if the citizens can't defend themselves, who do you think has to be involved? The military. And for you to say, well, we're not going to participate, yeah, the amounts to a plain and palpable act of mutiny, yeah. I just wanted to know of all of those in the Judge Advocate Corps, yeah, what happens when the citizens can't defend themselves? And I've sent emails documenting the crime, and you decided you weren't going to do anything. I think it is a plain and palpable act of mutiny on the part of the United States military to refuse to defend the citizens of the United States. Now, let's say you had a porta-john. Pooch. You didn't fill it with any of that blue stuff that they put in there. You just sat on it. Yes, you took the door off. And we put guards all the way around the Pentagon so that every attorney, I'm being deprived of my right to defend myself. I've communicated with law enforcement. I've explained the requirements of the law. I've told them that it violates the rights of myself and my family. Yeah. And no one would actually enforce the requirements of the law. Now, the moving cause or animus of the act, whether insubordination, cowardice, treachery, etc., is quite immaterial. Um, the Articles of War separately considered the 45th and 46th law. I talked about this Article 45 that those that relieve the enemy, that make Americans defenseless, yes, oppressed, because of the money they've received, the bribes, yes, the shows, ooch, the coming to find out. Oh. Now, the United States military is protecting an enemy of the defense of this nation, yeah, and well, treason against the United States shall consist of only in levying war or depriving citizens of the right to defend themselves. Now, let's say you looked at war from is it the offense or the defense? I email you that my rights are being violated. And your answer to my rights being violated is you are going to continue to violate the laws of the United States. Levying war or depriving the citizens of the right to defend themselves. Which is it? The right to do. When you refuse to enforce the laws of the United States, you have removed the right of the citizens to defend themselves. I have no defense against your court system, that decided to try me for a case where you have the evidence that I committed no crime. And each and every officer of the law that says, well, we're not making war against the United States, we're not levying war against them. But when you deprive Americans of the right to defend themselves, isn't that what levying war right now? I think you're going to prison. Now, adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Now, this thought of Criminal Investigative Division of the United States Army not being involved where I can't defend myself. I've documented that my sons can't defend themselves because you refuse to acknowledge the laws of the United States. I would say that would be levying war against the citizens, them. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against the citizens, or adhering to their enemies, levying war against them. Who's the them of the United States? Adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Yeah. Now, you're my enemy. You made yourselves my enemy. You arrested me for a crime that I didn't commit in Sequim, Washington, and you wouldn't admit the evidence that I wasn't there. I document that your fraud of issuing court orders has removed my right to defend myself. And for some reason, you seem to think that it's okay to do what you're doing. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them. Who is the them of the United States of America? Or in adhering to their enemies. Now, the there sounds like the them of the citizens. But who's their enemies giving them aid and comfort? Somewhat confusing, isn't it? Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them. Would that be against them, the citizens? Or in adhering to their enemies? Who's the enemies of them, the citizens of the United States? Giving them, their enemies, the them of the citizens, aid and comfort. Now, Sheriff, when you decide to commit the crime of treason against the United States because it consists only in levying war against myself as a citizen, against my sons as citizens, and against any and all individuals that would inform you of the obligation of the enforcement of the laws, you've been adhering to their enemies, those that have been levying war against them, the citizens, and you've been giving them aid and comfort, their enemies. Yes, because you don't understand exactly what he explained. It seems confusing, but really, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against the citizens of the United States, or adhering to the enemies of the citizens of the United States, giving the enemies of the citizens of the United States aid and comfort. As a citizen, when you refuse to protect, defend, and support me in my right to defend myself, you actually are an enemy of the United States of America.